Welcome everybody. Welcome to the Association of Cannabis Professionals monthly meeting. A lot of new faces, which I'm really excited to see. So for any of you, it's your first time. Thank you so much for coming. Hopefully you're able to find some good information. Try to provide a lot of information to the community and to the industry and everything like that. So thank you all for coming. And for those who have been here before, welcome back. Hopefully you'll enjoy this meeting as well. All right. So first off, we like to start off by thanking our sponsors. After that, we'll get a quick message from our president, Chris Siegel. Then we'll do a couple of legislative updates and event updates from the association. Then if there's any political candidates that are here, we always give them a couple minutes to say a few words. After that, we have three main speakers today. We have Robert Bryant, who is from the UCSD Center for Medical Cannabis Research. Then we have Congressman Dana Rohrabacher, who will be calling in with some pretty exciting news. And then we have Gary Robbins, who is a Union Tribune reporter, who's going to be talking about what we can do to better ourselves in the industry. Just what we can do to better ourselves in the view of the public with the industry. So with that, I will go ahead and I will call up our first sponsor. If San Diego Recreational Cannabis would like to say a couple things. Thank you very much to our sponsors. Please give them a round of applause.
Hi. Hello, everybody. We're here on behalf of San Diego Recreational Cannabis. We are a brand new legal recreational cannabis store in San Diego. Mission Valley. Yeah, it's fun. So we have a booth or a little table here with coupons and flyers, and we're happy to be here. So thank you.
Thank you so much. SRC is one of the newest members to our San Diego retail family. So if you have not had a chance to go and visit them, please do. They are off of Camino Rio South. Yes? All right. Didn't get it wrong. Cool. All right. Next, we have Agent Cannabis, Jason Klein. So you want to say a couple things? Oh, there you go.
How you guys doing? I'm Jason Klein, aka Agent Cannabis. I'm a commercial cannabis real estate broker. I've been doing it for the last 3 years full time. Started off in Adelanto, which is the first city in Southern California licensed for all solvent extraction. And since then, I've been working throughout the state, based in San Diego, but I do a lot of deals in LA, Long Beach, all the way up to Humboldt. So I've been getting a lot of people in for most of the uses, a lot of retail dispensaries, been doing a lot of farming, a lot of volatile solvent extraction deals. So for people that are looking for something that's already licensed, turnkey, we've got quite a few of those that are available throughout the state and here locally in San Diego. I've been doing a good amount of work locking properties up in Chula Vista for the past year, I would say, in anticipation of them licensing. Just did squeeze in a couple of dispensaries in the city of San Diego and a couple of the districts that still have open spaces. Just any of the needs that you guys have for any of the uses, and including speculations. I've made a living off of getting into cities before the ordinances are passed in anticipation, working with a lot of politicians and also people in the industry to just find out where it's going to be licensing before anybody else does, because there's a huge green rush, as everybody knows. As soon as licensing comes through, property prices go through the roof. And so there's been a lot of speculation to be able to get in there and lock it in head. So any of the needs that you have, we've got some brochures up here, got some business cards, and so anything that you guys want in terms of real estate, cannabis related, I will be able to help you out with that. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much, Jason. And for our last sponsor, we have Ganja Road. Is Ganja Road representative? All right.
Hello, my name is Craig. I started Ganja Road about 4 years ago. It originally was craigsweed.com, but Craigslist decided that. So they sent me a letter, and they said, you have to stop. So after thinking about it for about 15, 20 minutes, we bought Ganja Road off another guy that owned it, and spent a bunch of money changing it back to Ganja Road. So what we do is this. We are a user-based website, so anybody in the industry can sell anything they want all over the world simply by placing a classified ad, or if you have a publication like a magazine, we allow you to advertise for free. All charities are free. All of the veterans stuff is free. But we charge such a small amount, like the drinks that you're drinking tonight would pay for an ad for a full month. It's like one drink. So we have currently 17 countries that use us. We just got our first dispensary in Rome, Italy last week. It's pretty awesome. We don't advertise anywhere in the world but California, but suddenly 17 countries are using us. So we have about 5,000 users a day throughout the world that come to our site and look for things like lawyers, land, they look for products, they look for services, consultants, lawyers, they look for anything you could possibly imagine, from trimmers to labor, to farms, any real estate that's available. It's an amazing thing that just happened. We also have, a dispensary finder, a grocery store finder, and the way it works, it's all near me. So when you pull it up, it's going to figure out where you're at and show you all the resources that are available near you. If you want to expand your search, you simply expand your search into another city, and it'll tell you what's going on in New York or LA. The other day I had a guy in South Carolina placing an ad. He said there's only 2 million pounds of hemp. Like, okay. So I called him and I said, "Are you for real?" He goes, "Yeah, I want 2 million pounds of hemp." I said, "All right, well, maybe somebody else on my site has it." Sure enough, guess what? Somebody else on my site has 2 million pounds of hemp for sale. So just have to connect the dots. And that's all it is, a giant Craigslist of weed and everything else, and a weed map site as well. So we're pretty excited about it, and we hope all of you just go on and use it and tell your friends. And like I said, the advertising is so cheap that your cocktail that you're drinking now costs as much as that for a month. And we hope to have like 2 million users, or 2 million advertisers throughout the world, spending like $5 a month for their ads. And the old days, in order to get resources for any business, you had to buy this huge dictionary of all the industry people. It was called the Thomas Register. So we're hoping that we become the new Thomas Register of the weed industry, where you can just log on from your phone, find anything you want, whether it be a mechanical trimmer, or a lawyer, or a doctor, or anything, any resource that you're looking for immediately. And that's about it.
Do you have advertising space on your website? Can you
Yeah.
buy banner ads?
Absolutely. We even have the new, the guy that's running for sheriff, he's got a banner ad on our website.
Okay.
Working for us. Yeah, go Dave. Anyway, that's it in a nutshell. Any questions? Okay. All right, it's pretty self-explanatory, so get on and go with it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for all of our sponsors. They're the ones that make this happen. So thank you all. Next, we do a quick message from our president, Chris Siegel. Not at the bar this time. Yay.
How's it going, cannabis community in San Diego? It's your voice and what you guys do that help grow the community. Not just here in San Diego, but in the world. There's a lot of people that are being healed right now through cannabis, whether it's our veterans through PTSD that fight for our democracy and our freedom, whether it's children that have MS or cancer. The sad part is that more people that need cannabis are being denied access than are being helped. And your voice, what you do, helps to echo throughout not just San Diego, but throughout the world to help those people that need that access. The biggest thing is that you guys need to go out and put these politicians in their seats that are pro-cannabis, and not just pro-cannabis, but also are pro-humanity and pro-life. Let's do it. And this young lady here has been an activist pretty much all of her life. She's been pushing very hard. So groups like the ACP, we're that gateway. We're that gateway for a voice, not just here in San Diego, but the voice for cannabis in general. And so I know you guys are here in San Diego, and you don't see the rest of the world and what's going on in terms of what cannabis is doing. You see it, but you don't know that your voice actually touches the world, and it does. And I want to thank you for that. And don't stop fighting, because the fight's not over. You may see all these new regulations here in California. You may see Colorado has a robust market, but the fight for federal legalization hasn't been granted yet. CBD is being challenged. So keep up your passion. Keep up whatever you're thinking about doing in cannabis, whether it's plant touching or non-plant touching. Because your idea, your concept, your passion can become fruitful. And it doesn't just help you, it helps the entire cannabis world. So thank you guys.
For the inspiration, Chris. Really appreciate it. All right, so next we have a couple legislative updates and then some event updates. So first off, if you were not aware, the primary election for 2018 is on June 5th. So if you have not registered to vote, please make sure you do that. And as Chris said, we need to hold our politicians accountable to make sure that they are supporting our industry. So if you are not registered to vote, make sure that you register to vote, and make sure that you come out to vote on June 5th. Second, a couple initiative stuff that we've been doing lately. So ACP, we've got an initiative that's going on up in Encinitas right now. We're not the proponents of it, but we are backing it. We filed that one about 3 weeks ago, and right now we're about halfway through our signature gathering. So if you are up in Encinitas, keep a lookout for for some signature gatherers there, so that we can get all the signatures that we need to get this on the ballot for November. That one's a pretty comprehensive one. We're not involved with what happened in Encinitas last, I think, October, September. Then we kind of got screwed by the city council there. So this is us making sure that the voters in Encinitas have something to vote on when it comes to regulations and safe access in their city. So if you up in Encinitas, know anybody that's up there, have them please go and find somebody that's gathering signatures so we can get them on there. Next, as of last Friday, we were part of a bigger group of or coalition of folks that submitted an initiative in Oceanside. Been paying attention there, kind of got screwed again there. No dispensaries, no retail access in the city of Oceanside as it stands right now. The ordinance that they put into place took effect on Friday, and that was the same day that we filed it because we wanted to be very symbolic and no, we're not going to stand by and make sure while patients aren't getting the access that they need. So same thing, if you know any friends or anybody in Oceanside, keep a lookout up there. We're going to be doing some signature gathering stuff moving forward over the next couple months. So that's just some quick legislative updates on my end. Dan Rohrbach, when he calls in, we'll have a couple other ones on the federal level there. So that's what I got on legislative issues. Any questions on any of that? Yes.
I want a one-page handout of who to vote for that we can distribute.
Exactly.
Yes.
Thank you.
We're working on that. We're working on getting that all printed out right now. But we
Yeah.
do have a voter guide on the website. It's the third farthest from the top to the right, if I said that right. It says voter guide on there, and it'll have everybody a rating on a lot of the policy, a lot of their votes, everything like that. So go ahead and check that out. It has all the candidates, or the county candidates, city candidates, so on and so forth.
It's awesome, and I posted it. I just think the one page would be.
Yes, no, you're absolutely right. We're working on that now. Okay, so if that's it for legislative updates, next we have event updates. This is our first meeting post Cannabis Village, so if you had a chance to go to Cannabis Village, hope you enjoyed it. For all those who have participated, thank you so much for making that happen. It was an awesome event, and what we really like to do with Cannabis Village is it's an opportunity for our industry to get in front of a demographic that we probably wouldn't have otherwise. So a lot of just family people who probably would never go to like a High Times Cup or a big cannabis event, but they're going to Earth Day, and this is a big part of it. And what we're really trying to demonstrate too is what cannabis and hemp can really provide to the community in general. So once again, thank you all for those of you who participated in that or came in and attended that one. Next, we have Sapphire here. We'll be talking about our Utopia at Pride this year.
Hi everybody. Thank you all for coming. My name is Sapphire Blackwood. For those who don't know me, I am the Director of Public Affairs for the Association of Cannabis Professionals. I'm also, for those who know me in a different capacity, I'm a land use consultant for Grassroots Resources. I do licensing. My heart passion is in advocacy, and I don't really get to do that on my regular 9 to 5, so I am thankful for ACP, and I volunteer a lot of my time here. And I'm really excited because my other passion is LGBTQ advocacy. I've been volunteering in the community since 2013, which is right around when I came out of the closet. So it goes hand in hand. It's really important for me because I struggled a lot with my, my sexuality, and I hope to see that change, just like we're all here struggling to figure out how we fit as cannabis business entrepreneurs, and federally it's not able to happen. That was my future, like I couldn't legally get married up until 3 years ago. So with Pride, I had a good relationship with folks over there that work there. We figured it out, and we're going to do Cannabis Village idea at this year's Pride Festival. We're going to have a huge section. It's going to be called the Utopia Gender and Health Oasis. So we're going to be really respectful of the people who founded that free access area right outside of the festival. You don't have to pay to get in, which is great, because many of the people who actually march the parade don't ever end up going into the fairgrounds the festival grounds for whatever reason. This is a free access area right at the very front of the entrance and right at the end of the parade route. Who here has actually gone to Pride? Yes. Kathy was great. So last year we did a hemp float, and a lot of people came out. Mankind came out, Outcode came out. It was a lot of fun, and we pulled the hemp house, which was in itself a grand old time. And we ended up having like this really cool upstairs area where people could view the parade and partake in some things that aren't as legal. The consumption events aren't as legal as they used to be, unfortunately. But we're going to be doing the parade route again, except this year we're not doing the hemp house. We're going to build a float, hopefully with with a tow truck, actually. It's going to be really great, and it's going to have that feel of the oasis that we're doing at the festival. So the festival, we only have 30 vendor booths total available, and we're about a third of the way sold. So I know RC has a booth, yeah. I don't believe Mankind has one yet. Booths are cheap. If you did Earth Day, Earth Day was, I believe, $1,500 for the one day. These are $950 right now. They're going to go up in price at the end of the month to $1095. But it's 2 days. It's a 2-day festival, and plus 250,000 people attended Pride last year. We're expecting a bigger number because it's an election year. People are heated. The Trump administration's got everyone going, and Pride's taking notice. They're having more sponsors, and for those fans out there, TLC is headlining on Sunday. It'll be fun. And then lastly, we're going to do a couple events before Pride. So for all of our sponsors that have come in big, we're going to have a meet and greet, and for our vendors as well, we're going to have a meet and greet with prime elected officials and candidates that are running within the state and local. So 90% sure we have Ricardo Lara, who's a current senator in the state of California. He introduced a really cool delivery bill, and he's running for insurance commissioner, and we really want to help out with his campaign, as well as a lot of other current elected officials. And then we're also going to have we're also going to have a Pride Party anniversary for marriage equality on June 26th. Still looking for sponsors for that. And we have an amazing location on the parade route where we're going to throw a parade viewing party on Saturday of the parade. And that parade party, I don't want to give too much away, but it's going to be out of control. So everyone that wants to get involved with Pride, it's a great way to promote your business. LGBTQ community is a loyal customer base. We pride ourselves with people that are involved within our community and represent who we are adequately and do so effectively. We have loyal brand following. And additionally, it's a lot of fun. If you've never been to Pride, it's great energy, a lot of great people, a lot of great way to meet people, and just make sure you have an awesome street team and vendors supporting your brand, and you'll do great. Any questions? What? Closer to my face. Can everyone hear me? Do you want me to repeat it all again? From the beginning.
And go.
Pride's really cool, you should go.
Thank you very much, Sapphire. Yeah. As you stated, yeah, it's going to be an amazing event. We're really excited to put this on for the first time this year. So please go to our website. There's a section under events. You can find out more information for Utopia.
How much is the
Right now it's $9.50. As she said, at the end of the month it goes up to $10.50, right? $10.50. So if you do it this month, just do it. We only have 30 booths, so, and we're already a third of the way through. So don't hesitate. You're gonna miss your opportunity. Just do it now. It's cheaper anyways. Okay. Okay. So we're running a little behind schedule right now, and I don't see any candidates in the room. So if any candidates are here, we'll push it to the end if that's okay. So let's just jump on to our first main speaker. So our first main speaker today is Robert Bryan, who is part of the UCSD Medical Cannabis Research Team. He'll be speaking about what they got going on over there. If anybody's been paying, attention to some of the news in California, Prop 64 did allocate a lot of money towards research when it came to cannabis and its effects and everything like that. Robert Bryan is one of the leading part of the team that's doing the outreach and everything to get people in for these studies. So with that, I'd like to welcome Robert Bryan from UCSD Medical Team. Thank you.
Right here. Here's my mark. There's my post. Folks, my name is Robert. I also brought Noah with me. He's one of the study coordinators. We're from the Center for Medicinal Cannabis Research with UCSD. It's part of the psychiatry department at UCSD. Just going to do the quick version because I think you have a congressman calling in here in 5 minutes, so see if I can give you the nickel version. There's 2 studies that we're doing. One is funded by the state of California. It's to look at the effects of cannabis use while driving. Some of you in this room may have participated in the study already, and some of you work at places where I've actually put flyers out. I put some flyers on all the tables now, and I have plenty here and business cards when I'm done. Or before you leave, please take some with you if you're willing to. The study itself, we're looking to see what the effect of cannabis use is on driving, right? At this point, how can you tell if somebody's impaired with marijuana? There's nothing really on the books that says this is the number, this is how to measure it. That's what we're funded to do. The purpose is to bring somebody in, they spend an 8-hour day, our nurse rolls a joint, they smoke it up in the negative pressure room. Of course, we don't want to get all the other employees high in there. Then we put them in the driving simulator for a good portion of the day. It's pretty much almost an 8-hour day. We pull them out at certain time points, almost every hour, to measure the levels of THC that's in their system. We do that by drawing blood, taking saliva, and breath samples. We also have an iPad in there to do some cognitive assessments while they're in there. And then we have the CHP. They're not in guns and uniforms, but they're part of the project just to do the official roadside test. Touch your nose, put your foot out, walk the straight line, that. So we do that multiple times as well. All of the testing that everybody does is pretty standard. The difference is the amount of THC that somebody might get. There's 3 different levels. One is about 14% THC in the cannabis that they're going to smoke. The other one is about 5%. Guess what the third one is? Zero, a placebo. That's right. That's how they're going to look at the difference in the value of what's in the cannabis and actually how they perform. So they're going to actually compare all of these things, right? They want to compare the how does it break down in the saliva compared to the blood compared to the breath samples, right? Does that make sense? Kind of. We're not. This is sponsored by the state of California. You can imagine it's not just the state, but there's the UC San Diego, or the UC, the Institutional Review Board that oversees us, the DEA, the National Institutes of Health, the National Institute of Drug Abuse. All of those dictate kind of one piece of what we do, how we do, when we do. So we have to get it from the University of Mississippi. You guys all know that. And I know I often hear from some people saying, you know what, that cannabis is... Let me tell you something. I ask the participants when they come in, I say, what did you get? Some people say they got a placebo, but some people say, wow. So their own testimony they got. Yes, my brother?
Are you involved in the autism research relative to the grant that UCSD got 2 weeks ago for about $5 million?
So yes, that is a study that's coming up that's going to look at autism with a specific age group. It hasn't really started yet, but we're venturing into that. It's not what I'm here to speak about, but if you look on our website...
Are you involved in it personally?
Hey, questions at the end, please.
I am not
questions at the end.
personally involved, but any questions that if you cannot get from me here tonight, you can go to cmcr.ucsd.edu, formulate your question. We have a couple of doctors who actually work with this entire team, will field your question and make sure they get it answered. Somebody else had a question too? Or?
Just a question.
Joe?
Questions at the end.
How do you qualify for the study?
Yeah, so let me give you that. So, by the way, so that's the 8-hour day. Then there is a screening process for this. The screening takes about 3 hours, maybe 3.5 hours. It's also done in our offices. You come in, You meet with me for about an hour. I ask you lots of questions. We do a blood draw on that. At that point, really, it's to look at your liver and kidneys, make sure you're healthy enough to be in the study. We do a mouth swab. One of the requirements is that you maintain or abstain from your own cannabis use for 48 hours prior to coming in the building, whether it's for the screening or for the full day. And we measure that with what we call the dragger. So if we find that somebody's used within the last 48 hours, we cannot use the information, so then we just send the people home at that point. So we want to make sure that people don't use. Also, if somebody has an issue with methamphetamine or cocaine or something they don't have a prescription for, we would rule that out as well and they wouldn't qualify. Be looking for folks between the age of 21 and 55 that have a valid driver's license and smoke marijuana. You call me up and I would put you through the screening. There's compensation for that. That is $230. $180 for the full day and $50 for the screen. That's one study. Then we have another one. My brother Noah is the okay, my brother Noah, he's the coordinator for this other study. It is a study that's funded by the National Institutes of Health to look at the effect of cannabis use for chronic lower back pain. So we're looking for folks between the age of 19 and 70 that have chronic lower back pain to enter into the study. It's a 12-week study, 10 to 12-week study. Clearly, since we're using cannabis, we want you to refrain from using your own cannabis during the study. But there's a catch. Guess what? There's also a placebo in that one, too. You could get, so we're comparing the dronabinol pill, which is like Marinol, right, the synthetic form, we're comparing that to vaporizing the cannabis. And yes, the cannabis is from Mississippi. So that's the comparison. Now one of them, at least one of them, is going to be a placebo. You could have the dronabinol as the placebo and the real cannabis. Or the cannabis could be the placebo and the real dronabinol. And guess what the third option is? Both placebos. So somebody has to abstain from their own cannabis for the entire study, right? So if you're using something else to address your back pain, we would want you to still maintain that if you need to. It's not about you suffering. Remember, this is not about you going into a doctor to have an assessment for your treatment. This is really for us to understand how cannabis affects lower back pain rather than individual treatment. Does that make sense?
Yes.
There's compensation involved in that. It's a little less than $1,000 for participating in that research study. There is a driving component with that. There is a huge, what we call a screening process. You do it over the telephone with us, and you come in and you meet with one of the recruiters, and you meet with Noah, and we want to make sure that you're healthy enough to be in the study. But
the time commitment is what? More on the
so yeah, time commitment. So that dronabinol study actually could be about 8 or 9 visits. There is a screening visit, then there's an entry visit, and then there are 6 probably. By the way, those first 2 are about 4 hours each. Then there are 6 study visits that are probably about 2 hours each, where you come in and we exchange the vials. You take the empty, or you take the full vials, and we'll take the empty vials back from you. There's also a driving component in that study as well. If you're willing to do that, we want you to do that part if you have the ability to drive. And then there's an ending visit. So total about 9 visits. About a little under 1,000 if you do the driving component. If you don't, it's about 700. Any final questions?
When you say driving the simulator in the office,
So the driving, yes, it's not getting out and driving a car. You're just driving in the driving simulator that we have with both of the studies. Absolutely. Matter of fact, if you come in to participate in the driving study, how ethical would that be of us to get you high and send you home driving in your own car, right? So one of the requirements is that you got to come in and be willing to either have a responsible adult pick you up, or I'll send you home in a cab and I'll pay for it. Right? We just want to make sure that you're not driving for the day of the study.
How are you getting a baseline, right? So someone smokes and then they're driving, but how do you know they're not already a terrible driver? Their coordination's not already off. Are you getting a baseline before you're jumping into the study?
So good point. So during the screening, we actually put people in the driving simulator to make sure they can be acclimated to it, and then we'll also look at if they're a terrible driver or not. I don't think we have the distinguished,
There's the human element.
Right, no, absolutely. And that's why we need 180 people, right, for the study, because
Half will
the
be
things
women and half will be men.
I'm not sure. Do you know the probably, yeah, probably something like that.
We're talking about driving.
Okay. Hello. Any other questions?
Real quick right here.
Yes.
So you mentioned earlier, and correct me if I'm wrong, you said breath test, blood test, everything like that. Is the breath test a mouth swab? And from my own knowledge, is that
Yes.
how, like if somebody gets pulled over, is that how they're testing like a breath, not a breathalyzer, but like they're taking a swab of their mouth to see
Well, let me tell you the 3 tests that we do. So he's asking about what are the tests that they do out of your mouth. So the 3 that we do, one is that when we use this Drager 5000. It detects what kind of drug somebody's used in their mouth in the last 48 hours. That's what we use to make sure you're eligible. Then when you come, then when you come in and you're in the study, we take saliva, that's done with a sponge that goes in your mouth, and then they send that off to the lab. We take breath, you just breathe normally into a bag, they seal that up, that goes off to the lab, and then we take blood. Those are the things that they compare. As far as what's being used right now, I think some of the police officers use some type of Drager in some places.
Sure.
I don't know where. Does that answer your
Yeah,
question?
absolutely. Thank you.
Then of course we do a urine drug screen to make sure people are not using things that they don't have a prescription for. Any other questions? Thank you. Thank you. Oh. I have handouts. I have plenty of handouts. That's your parting gifts this evening. So I say thank you so much for all of you for inviting me here this evening. And my pleasure. My pleasure.
Yeah, so if no one ever thought that you could get paid for actually smoking, this is your opportunity to do it. So please reach out. We got plenty of flyers up here. So next we have Congressman Tanner Rohrabacher, who we're gonna try and FaceTime in real quick. It's the first time that we're doing this, so it's kind of exciting, and please hang tight. Hope if technology actually works these days.
He's on the other line.
Go ahead.
Congressman, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Thank you, Congressman. You got the association here, go ahead.
Fighting for freedom, but I'm not having any fun. You guys are the ones having fun. That's my motto, as you know, fighting for freedom and having fun. Well, let me just tell you folks that I met a guy today who wants to be the head of the DEA. Let me tell you how wild things have gotten back here. This guy's a former general, and he is with us on cannabis 100%.
Yeah!
We have a real chance now, to, just on the cannabis issue, to go to the various people around the country who politically were just on the other side, just a short time ago. The mood has changed, the public perception has changed, and when the president agreed to allowing the states to do it, adopting basically Rohrabacher-Farr position, I am so optimistic now that in the next 12 months, we are going to get a lot done. Now, we may not get it done by the end of this session. We'll at the very least get Rohrabacher-Farr reinstated for a 12-month period. That's the very least. But I am very confident that within that 12-month period, we will actually have the Rohrabacher-Farr type of approach, not just for medical marijuana, but for every, and the Justice Department. But instead, we will have something for every department and agency of the federal government will have to respect, in implementing their duties, respect the law of the states, and thus, whether it's banking or any other problematic government agency, we will be able to say, no, the state law has to be respected. So this is a huge difference than 5 years ago when I could barely get one majority vote on this, and we barely did scrape out the first time. But so it's the momentum's on our side, the momentum's on the side of freedom, and I'm very, but we have to be active. And I will tell you, in San Diego, I sure as hell hope that you are helping Duncan Hunter Jr., because I know he's got other problems, but this has been he's been a great champion of the legalized cannabis issue. You gotta say it again.
Would you be okay to take a few questions?
I sure will.
Okay.
Just remember, I haven't. little, can you see me?
I can see you, we can see you, oh yeah, we can see you.
I hope I'm handsome here.
Oh, fair. So we'll do three questions,
We'll do three questions. So how does it look in the Senate and what do you think Trump will do?
How does it look in the Senate, and what do you think Trump will do?
Okay, now, Cory Gardner changed the whole thing. Because what happened, I've been fighting this fight for all these years, and I've never had the leverage that one U.S. Senator has. He had a hold on all of the appointments, the judicial appointments, and the law enforcement type of things in the Department of Justice, appointments like U.S. attorneys, etc. He had a hold on them, and for the president to get them approved, he had to get Cory Gardner's okay. He called him up, and thank God we had Cory Gardner there. Cory Gardner said, okay, the people of my state have voted for legalizing medical as well as adult recreational use. And he said that, and Mr. President, you campaigned on that. I haven't been able to get back to the president to put it in his face. You campaigned on this issue. All these other things you're keeping your campaign pledge. Why not on this? Well, Cory Gardner did that. And he succeeded. That tipped the scale. And it's now, the momentum is on our side.
Any other questions? Any other questions?
I'm listening.
How is the hemp bill progressing on the farm bill?
That question was, how is the hemp bill progressing?
You know, I'll just tell you, I'm, you know, we're going through this different thing with the agriculture bill. We have a new, an authorization bill for the Department of Agriculture. And I have been very active behind the scenes on this as well. And there is an independent hemp bill. And I'm hoping that we're going to actually be able to use a lot of that stuff in the authorization bill for the Department of Agriculture. So look, it takes someone, it really takes someone with no brain to claim that we should give subsidies to farmers not to grow things when we can have a cannabis and a hemp type of operation where we're growing these crops and at a time when we are importing $1.5 billion worth of hemp into this country every year from Canada, right across the border. My relatives are all dirt poor farmers up in North Dakota within sight of Canada, so they can't grow hemp, but the guys in Canada can. This is absurd. So that again, that's an argument that's taken hold here. We have for years we've been making the argument. At long last, we have crossed over, and the momentum again. We're on the downhill slope. The energy's on our side. So I am optimistic in all of these legislations aimed at trying to permit the public to utilize cannabis and hemp for the many things. As we know, hemp can be used for cloth and everything else, but I understand also that many of the medicinal purposes that cannabis can be used for actually are present in hemp. So that's recognized now. I don't think there's any stopping us. The only thing that could stop us, and this would be horrible, if something happened, and that's why we got to back Trump. If something happened to Trump and the other people I know in the Republican Party who are not don't have the same iconoclastic, in-your-face approach that Trump has, those guys wouldn't go along with it, and it would be a big setback. So right now, I'm trying to work with the president, and who would have ever thought that we were going to get this out of the Republican Party?
Yeah. What's the name of the general in charge of the DEA? I don't know if you can answer this one, Congressman, but we had a question, what's the name of the general who is your pick for DEA?
Let me hold off on that until,
And then we had a different question.
yes.
Has you made any efforts next week with the NCI lobbyists, lobby days to help them get a connection to help us?
And we have a member who wants to know if you've met with any NCIA, National Cannabis Industry Association lobbyists.
No, next week there's lobby days.
And
I guess
they-
help
yeah.
connect anyone.
And they have their lobby days next week, and he was wondering if you're going to meet with anyone from the NCIA next week.
Well, listen, my door is always open to the cannabis people. And I have been at the fight of my life right now. And as you all know, I've been in Congress now for 30 years. And they're going, oh, Dana Rohrabacher spent 30 years, that's enough is enough. Well, 30 years is enough if all of your ideas are screwed up and you can't get out of where you started on from and alter your positions and improve your understanding of the issues. Yeah, if you're stuck in a mental quagmire, 30 years is enough. Frankly, 1 year is enough for most of these bums in Washington.
Okay, and then our last question.
But one last thing, I am in the fight of my life, and the cannabis community has been very supportive, and without it, I wouldn't have a chance. I'd be outspent 2 and 3 to 1, but the cannabis community has stepped up, and they know, and they're sending a message to the other congressmen. Hey, if you're for freedom, we're going to back you up, and that really is. I'm confident I'm going to win, and you will get the credit along with me, because all the other interest groups ran for the hills, but you guys stuck with me. So God bless you.
That brings us to our final question, Congressman, which is, how is your campaign for re-election going, and what can the cannabis community do to get involved to make sure you stay in Congress?
Well, I of course, well, number one, I want you to make sure you're helping Duncan Hunter Jr. And he has been a stalwart of support for the cannabis issue. And here he is, a combat veteran who was elected from the Battle of Fallujah. I mean, here's a man so many people respect. And he's had some troubles. Had some campaign finance troubles where his wife was doing things that he didn't know. But try to help Duncan out down there if you're in San Diego. But anything you can do for me, people who know anybody who lives up in coastal Orange County, to give them a call and say, make sure you get out for Dana Rohrabacher. And any of you can come up in the next couple of weekends and help us put up signs throughout the district, or pass out literature, or just are making calls to potential voters. I'm in a close race, and it could well, if I lose, it's a horrible signal. By the way, it may be a horrible signal, and it's a setback for the cannabis community. But for me personally, I mean liberated. Who the hell wants to live in Washington, D.C. I can live in Southern California on the beach. I could be drinking tequila and certainly never. But I think I've got some work to do. We've got work to do on freeing us from these horrible restrictions that were put on us by maybe they meant well, maybe they didn't, but we do know that special interests, whether the pharmaceutical industry or even the tobacco and alcohol industry, have tried to keep cannabis totally illegal all these years. So we now have a chance to get something really done in the right direction. And so I'm hoping to stay on just for that, but I need your help to do that. And anything you can do to help me and my campaign or Duncan Hunter's campaign, be active and help promote freedom. I appreciate it, and it's something we can all be happy about as we move on.
Thank you so much, we really appreciate you doing this for us. Can you just go ahead and let everybody know your website so they can make a contribution to you? Can you just let everybody know your website?
Well, it's just www.rohrabacher.com. There's a way you can use your credit cards if you want to donate. But also, if you've got time and you're in the Southern California area, on Saturday and Sunday, we send people out, we put up signs out, knock on people's doors, and anything you can do like that would be, helping financially would be appreciated, but so would it, if you want to come up and join the, what we call the Freedom Team, we'd love to have you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Congressman. We really appreciate it. Thank you for your time. Great, so glad that technology worked, and yeah, it was awesome for Congressman to do that. So, yeah, pretty excited. All right, so for our last speaker tonight, we have Gary Robbins from the Union Tribune. Gary has been a journalist for over 40 years and currently covers science and technology. He joined the paper in April of 2010 after working for 25 years in the Orange County Register, where he was a science editor. Robbins was born and raised in Maine and attended Northeastern University in Boston, graduating in 1978. He served as a Knight Science Journalism Fellow at MIT during the 2000-2001 academic year, and a Science Writer Fellow at the Marine Biological Laboratory at Woods Hole, Massachusetts in June 21. We really appreciate him coming out tonight, so with that, I'll pass the mic off to Gary Robbins. Thank you.
Alan, if I knew that I was going to have to follow Dana Rohrabacher, I wouldn't have done this. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much. I went to college in Boston in the 1970s. If I had turned to a friend then and said, someday I will stand in a flight path of a major airport, at a brewery, talking to a trade group that represents people who legally sell marijuana at places that look like Starbucks, he would have said, what's a Starbucks?
Yeah.
Things are changing so quickly, it's very difficult to keep up with them, and that really goes for the marijuana industry. What I'm noticing right now is a lot of growing pains. So marijuana isn't new, but the recreational industry here in California is. It's been less than 6 months. And one of the reasons I wanted to be here tonight was I noticed a really big problem. The gentleman that spoke earlier from Ganja Road, where is he? Is he still here? Your industry needs to do what that gentleman did. You need to stand up in your news releases, wherever you speak, and speak clearly. Who are you? What do you do? How can I get a hold of you? I am drowning in news releases where people are trying to sell me something or get me to write about them for some reason, but they don't tell me even who they are. Where are they from? What's their phone number? Who's the person who's in charge? We had this problem twice in the last 6 months with a company up in the Bay Area called Ease. Am I pronouncing that right? If you go to their website and try to figure out what they are, they use phrases like, we're a technology company. Actually, they're not a technology company, they're a marketing company. So I've kind of dropped them from our coverage because they don't speak in a plain language about what they're doing. And I know that as a company, they help some of the people in this room. But I can't use companies like that. I need people that are telling me who's in charge and clearly state what you're doing. We had problems with another company. This one was local. I don't know them. I don't know if they're here. They're called Prime Harvest. They're from San Diego. Recently, there was a symposium at San Diego State University which brought up the question, is marijuana a good alternative to opioids? It's a really serious question. We got the news release, we saw a poster, all of those things, and the company used SDSU as a legitimizer. I mean, it was in big letters. This was about SDSU. I don't have a problem with that. It's an important university. But we couldn't really tell where the information was coming from. And after we published the story, they contacted us and said, well, why didn't you mention us? And I went to their website and I couldn't tell who they were or what they were. In the end, it turns out that they're a cultivation and manufacturing company locally. Own what you do. I'm not going to judge you based on that. I just need to know who you are. When the public reads about you, they need to know that you're from San Diego or Santa Ana or San Francisco, that your president is so-and-so, and what you do. This is turning out to be a really huge problem. Also, the industry needs to stop living in the past. And by that, I mean certain people. I'm getting flooded also with press releases that still trade on the idea that marijuana is somehow still scandalous in this country and in this state. I got one this morning where a woman was trying to convince me, don't you want to write about a company that teaches people how to infuse food with marijuana? And it was kind of this like, aren't we the naughty people of the industry? And well, no, you're not. Surprisingly, I get a lot of pitches like that where people are still trying to trade on an outdated image of what marijuana is all about. Now, I'm not here to promote the marijuana industry. I'm here to try to write thoughtfully about what you do. And people who do things like that don't help you as an industry. So as you get together and talk among yourself, that's a really important thing to know. I'm so glad that Robert spoke this evening about what's going on at UC San Diego. I cannot stress enough the issue of medical marijuana. This is one of the most abused terms that I've ever heard in my life. It is clear from talking to scientists that there are potentially big uses for marijuana therapeutically. But again, I'm getting overloaded with news releases from companies and associations and groups who are making it sound like the living end based on virtually no evidence. The reality is, 2 years ago, the National Academies of Sciences put out a 400-page report in which they took an overview look at what was known about marijuana's effect on certain types of diseases. What they found in most cases was that so little research had been done, you really couldn't say anything authoritative. In some other cases, what they said, many of the studies were bad. They didn't have really good data. In many other cases, they said, well, it might be good, but we haven't gotten there yet. We don't know very much about this. And the report concluded by saying that we need a lot more studies. Robert, is he still here? This is absolutely the case. If you want to say something about medical marijuana, what I urge you to do is be thoughtful and have a sense of perspective about it. Because people who send me news releases or bend my ear about medical marijuana is the living end to everything, they drop out of my coverage immediately because in most cases they're talking about things that's not based on evidence. So if you want to talk about the fact that your company donated money for research, or talk to congressmen about research, or they're trying to change legislation that makes it more sensible to do research studies to free up money, to not have one place in America where you can get marijuana for research, that's a different story. But if you're one of these people that are trying to bend my ear like, oh my God, marijuana is the be-all and say-all to everything, I'm not going to bite on that. And please don't be one of these people that are doing something that I see almost daily on Twitter. It disturbs me greatly to see people putting messages. I keep seeing it on something called Kennel Life, that marijuana never hurt anybody. There's nothing dangerous about it. Back when I was in college, in Boston, I walked through a plate glass window, and I was severely injured. I had 44 stitches in my leg. I lost 2 pints of blood. I was high. It's that simple. I got injured because I was impaired and I didn't see a window. I could have died. Fortunately, I was in the company of a nursing student who got me to the hospital on time. If you want to talk about marijuana in terms of the fact that the responsible use of marijuana does not seem to be a major problem, that's one thing. And we've noted that since the beginning of this year, we've talked to UC San Diego and their emergency physicians about this. They have not seen a big spike in people who had, I don't want to use the word overdose, but used too much, say as with edibles, for example. We haven't been hearing reports from the California Highway Patrol of a massive increase in the number of accidents attributed to marijuana. The study, it's still very early, but the studies haven't come out yet. But we need to put all this information into perspective. And a lot of it is not being put into perspective. It really grates on me when I see that phrase, marijuana has never killed anybody or hurt anybody. Just please use it into perspective. The last thing is, I wanted to speak to you tonight to introduce myself so that I have more contacts and so that I can have more perspective about what's going on in the industry. Dallin and I were talking, this is about a month ago, just about what was going on. And just as I was getting up to leave, he said, there's something that kind of concerns me. And there's the possibility that several factors will come together and there might be a shortage of marijuana at some stores over the summer due to an increase in tourism and the onset of new testing laws that could take some marijuana out of the supply chain if it's not good. There's all these various things. I talked to some retailers here in the city to ask whether they were concerned about it, and they were. Now, the child in me wanted to write the headline that San Diego to run out of weed during Comic-Con. But I didn't. And I hope that you found the story to be a responsible story. It was based on, you know, a good relationship with the Association of Cannabis Professionals, which is literally across the street from my building. And the fact that we have good relations with some retailers. We want broader relationships. So come introduce yourself. Get in contact with me. I'd be happy for you to come down to the Union Tribune offices. We're at 6 and B. We've had a lot of people come in. We want you to know how we're covering things. Someone asked a question about the new marijuana study that involves autistic children that's going to be done at UC San Diego. That's the level that we're dealing with. We're looking for responsible stuff like that. If you're involved or you're doing something that is really helpful to the community, let us know about that. Please do. We want to meet more of you. If you have questions, I'm happy to take them.
What has been the subject of your last, like, 2 or 3 stories? What has been the subject matter?
One of them has been, we've been trying to get a better understanding of how people in California and San Diego in particular feel about marijuana. So many of you may have read our front page story about, we did a poll and we asked a bunch of questions related to marijuana. And we found that there was pretty broad acceptance in most ways. We also found something that the retailers have been telling us. I think my editors believe that most of the people that would turn out at the retail stores would be in their 20s. Well, there are those people at the stores. But the gentleman from Apothecary, Rocky, he told me one day, he says, Gary, you know who we're getting? We're getting soccer moms. And you go to the stores, and that is at least partially true. I've gone to the retailers, and I stand in line, you know, and I talk to them, and I look who's there. They look like you. They look like you. They're baby boomers. So it's not just the 20-year-olds. There's something occurring culturally in California. There has been a broad acceptance. Again, it's not my role to promote anything. It's my role to chronicle it and understand what's happening. Why do we have the attitudes that we do? Was it that we had such a long period of medical marijuana in California? Or just was it of a time? Did we see what happened in Colorado and Washington and other places and people just wanted to accept it? Were people just tired of what the law was? So I'm looking at that cultural change and trying to understand that. And my last word about culture. There are people probably in this room who've done this. They call me and say, will you stop using the words pot and weed? No, never, ever. I'm a baby boomer. A lot of you people are calling me about that for marketing reasons. You're assigning a negative stereotype to older words. And I gotta be honest with you, people my age don't like that much. Just like my parents didn't like it when people changed certain words on them. Weed, marijuana, it is what it is. If you're assigning a negative stereotype, all you're doing is assigning a stereotype. So while cannabis is a fine word and I'll use it in the coverage of your name, I'm not dropping those words from the way I covered them in stories. In fact, some of you use the word weed. Yes. Other questions?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Have you been covering what's been going on with allowing Native Americans to enter the state license industry?
I didn't hear the last part of the question.
Have you been covering what's been going on with allowing Native Americans to allow access into the state industry to sell cannabis grown on reservations in the state market?
Only a little bit, and you raise an issue that really needs to be covered more. I know Lincoln Fish from, what's the name of his company?
Alco.
And if I remember right, they've either bought or they're trying to purchase land or the rights to grow on Native American property here in San Diego County. I don't know that issue as well as I want. I'm primarily a science writer. I cover cannabis as a sub-beat, but that's something that we need to cover more. So you raise a very good question.
Gary, I want to just say I want to thank you, number one. I'm co-founder with Prime Harvest Cannabis Company, and I thank you so much because a lot of us in this industry have come from a place where it's been a negative connotation, and we're elevating the level, and that's what we need to keep doing as a community together. And we sat down with Gary, and he gave us a lot of great insight of what it is to be who we are, and to elevate that level. And the event turned out to be spectacular, and we're going to name you Cannaboomer. You are a Cannaboomer. That is, nevertheless, it was covered by the UT, and it was amazing. and we have some great doctors, and I'm not here to plug our next event, but it's opiate addiction is huge, and we have a therapy for cannabis. Next one's going to be an amazing event. It's going to be August 14th. You can go to communityallianceprogram.com. We'll talk more about it, but we need to elevate the level of the industry together, and with you, what you just shared, and people talk to him, because he'll give you ideas that we've learned. Cassie and I learned a tremendous amount within the 15 minutes we spent with you, and we thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I think you were really good enough to come over to our office, and I was pretty stern with them, I have to tell you.
Thank you. Hey, that's what you learned.
But the larger message was that if you want me to treat you like an industry, behave like an industry, and think about the things you could do that portray yourselves as an industry. Think of yourself as perhaps how the Wall Street Journal might cover you. One thing that you and I talked a little bit about, would there be a way for us to, for example, for the Union Tribune to print once a week or once a month, whatever worked? What were the sales figures for marijuana in San Diego during a particular month? Were they up? Were they down? Suddenly we're looking at it as an industry. What does the workforce need? I keep hearing from people that they need more workers. And how many more? How many people have been hired? It's an industry. And there are some people that aren't taking you as seriously as you might think. I had a very odd discussion with someone from San Diego City College. I said, community colleges in California offer a lot of certificate programs. And have you considered a certificate program for, say, a bud tender? Because when I've gone to a lot of these retail stores, what I've noticed is, A, it's really loud, it's hard to hear, there's a lot of people, but B, there's a lot of people talking very fast. And they're saying a lot of things, and they all sound good, but how much do they really know? I'm a baby boomer one more time. Back when I went to school in Boston in the 1970s, the city had 130,000 college students, and 129,999 of them smoked pot. This is not a new subject to me. We need to bring it out of the Snickers game and bring it into where it's a part of everyday common conversation, because that's how society in California is treating it. So behave like an industry. Give me data. There's someone in here that kind of knocked my shoes off. Was it Agent Cannabis? Is that guy still here? Real estate?
Jason. Chris.
Well, either way, I've been wondering about it. My wife is Diana McCabe. She's a business editor at the Union Tribune. So we talk a lot about story ideas. She sits right next to our real estate writer. I sit 20 feet from them. I'll be telling her tonight when I go home, I heard this guy talking about trying to do all these land things in Chula Vista and other places. This is someone we need to know, because the commercial real estate aspect of this is important too. Again, it's part of the industry. So we're happy to cover you. We want to cover you. We need more.
Yeah, thank you so much, Gary. Him and I were talking about a month or so ago, just about what we can do together, or what can the industry do to really promote ourselves and just be a lot more clear when it comes to public perceptions, and what we can do to even increase public perception when it comes to just how they view this industry. So that's where this came from, and thank you so much, Gary, for coming and clarifying that up. As he said too, he is looking for a lot more people to be involved in his story writing and everything. And if you have a business that you want to talk to him about, please follow up. That's why he's here too. I'm not just pitching you for you unwantedly. Okay, so we are a little bit over our schedule here. So I know there's a couple other announcements, and then we're going. So I know Dave had one announcement coming up at SoCo Cannabis Ball. So right now we'll just do announcements real quick, and then we will get out of here.
Hey everyone, my name is Dave Soko. We are doing the anniversary party for the SoCo Cannabis Ball on June 9th. It's our 1-year anniversary. And this event, kind of like what you were talking about, is we're elevating the cannabis industry. It's a red carpet event. We have a full-on fashion show with hemp clothing, gift bags. We'll have food there, drinks, DJ, performances. It's a great party. It's at the Lafayette Hotel downtown, so a beautiful place. And more importantly, for the businesses that are here tonight, we'd love to have you have a table there. If you're part of ACP, you get a discount. It's under $200 for a table. It's very inexpensive, and it's a great reach of audience. People that would not normally come to a cannabis event will be there. So if you're a business owner, if you're in politics, we had Dave Myers there last time talking about it. We have a bunch of guest speakers. We'll have a panel that will be doing talks there as well. So this is going to be a great event, and we'd love to have everybody involved. Additionally, Dallon's going to be sending out links for you to RSVP so you can get in for free and get some gift bags and have a great night. So if you want to talk to me more about it after the announcements, I'll be here. Mitch will be here to answer any questions. And thanks again to Dallon and Chris. You guys are doing a great job. We love you.
Thank you, thank you. If you've not been to any of the Dave Soko events, they're fantastic. They're a lot of fun. Yeah, we'll be sending out links. Go check them out. What's the website?
SocoCanna.com.
SocoCanada.com. Check it out. It's fantastic. All right. Any other event or any other announcements? Yes, Joe.
Well, tomorrow night, Dave Myers for Sheriff, there's an event up at Relief, is it? Sorrento Valley Road, so we should all be there. And Thursday, May 24th, we're screening a film. I know you know patty cakes. And anyway, it's going to be at the Bankers Hill Club where the Canna Talks have been. It's going to be Thursday the 24th. Women of, it's Mary Jane's The Women of Weed, all about women breaking into the cannabis industry. So thank you for that. And you've heard of the Point Loma Democratic Club and the PB Club. Well, we're forming the Blue Dream Democratic Club. And I know Downs involved. I think Jared's an officer. And I believe we're going to have a membership party. The primary's June 5th. We're going to have a TGIO. Thank God it's over on June 11th. TGIO. Looking like they'll be at the Park and Rec. They're going to give us the greenhouse in back for the bar and everything. So be looking for those announcements on cannabisprofessionals.org. And who has not liked the Facebook page for Cannabis Professionals? You've got to get on there and like. We're up to 2,056. Strength in numbers. Let's get that number up. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Yeah, as you mentioned, only because I'm a Democrat, we formed the Blue Dream Democratic Club to really start influencing politics from the inside. If you're a Republican, we do the same thing for the Republican Party. So not that I don't like Republicans or anything. It's just I currently am a Democrat. So if there's any Republicans, I'd be more than happy to talk to you about that, so we can set one up there as well. So that being said, any other announcements? Okay, my last pitch. Stone Brewery gives us this room for free. So please say thank you to them. Tip your bartenders. Please go and buy more drinks, more food and everything so they continue to give this to us for free. And like I always like to say, if you're not buying one for yourself, go ahead and buy a drink for me. I like to drink. So thank you all very much for coming. Really appreciate it. Thank you.